What's up guys? So today we're going to be doing the rotors and brake pads on my 96 Acura Integra. They are worn out, squeaking, and not really what I'm looking for, so I'm going to take them off, replace them, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So let's get to it. Okay, first step, once you get the tire off, you're going to want to remove this 10mm bolt, and there's another one back over here to take off this little shield. Now that you've got the shield removed, you're going to want to remove these two, I believe they're 12mm or 14mm bolts, the caliper bolts. There's one on the bottom, one on top. Then this whole caliper assembly will pull out. Be careful because there is the parking brake and the normal hydraulic line going to this. So once you pull this off, make sure to tie it up with some zip ties or wire or something onto your shock. My calipers are kind of rust welded in place, so what I'm going to have to do is grab a hammer or something and pound on just this little fork thing coming off the caliper. Do it the same on the bottom if it's stuck down there too, and just kind of pry it out, get it out of there. So stupid me, I had my parking brake on. It's just like out of habit, you know, I jack up my car, put on my parking brake, so make sure your parking brake is off, and then you'll be able to pull this right out of there. Next up, you want to tie the caliper up, just get it out of the way, and then you're going to pull this little assembly off here. There's going to be two 14mm bolts, one down here and then one up here. Alright, it's a good thing I got in here when I did. As you can see, this brake pad has some pad left in the front, and then in the back here is actually starting to chew into the metal, so good thing I'm replacing them. Now let's pop the rotor off. For this, you're going to want an impact and a number 3 Phillips bit. Putting the new brakes on now is really simple. We're just going to do everything in reverse order. The only thing that's going to be a little different is when we put the caliper back on. Before we reinstall this caliper bracket, you're going to want to pull out these pins. Just pull back the boot like such. Pull out the pin and re-grease the pin. Sometimes they might be corroded in there. Just wiggle them around, get them out of there. Do it for both the top and the bottom. You just want to get those 14mm bolts on the back side of the caliper holder bracket thing. You want to get those both tightened down. And then you'll be good to put in your new pads. And when you put in your new pads, you're going to want to use something like this, brake lubricant. Make sure to put it on the bottom and the top, and where the caliper is pushing into the brake pad. That will get rid of any brake squeaks and just kind of prevent any short-term failure. You're going to want your little rear bracket thing on your brake pad. Sorry for the wind. You're gonna want it facing out and away like this. So this one's gonna go on like this. The other brake pad out here doesn't have a little bracket, so that one just slides in accordingly with the pads facing towards the rotor. Love the nighttime because it rains every day. I know you're not fine when you say you're okay. So I'm just putting a little bit of brake lube on here. I'm putting it on both sides of the pads like such, where the contact points are going to be. And then I just put it on the little metal brackets here too, and put it on both sides. I'm also going to put a little bit on this inside pad where the caliper is going to be pushing against it, so on this little plate here. Make sure you get the brake pad just pushed in all the way tight up against this little tab here, and make sure you get both sides in. Don't forget the other side. So with your brake pads in there, next up you're going to have to compress your caliper. Now this caliper is different from the front ones. The front ones you can just take a C-clamp and you can push it in. This one you actually have to screw in. It needs to be pushed and screwed. So if you don't have the materials to do this, a great way to take care of it is just go to your local auto parts store. I went to AutoZone, and they sell these little caliper compression sort of tool things. All you do is buy it, and then you use it, and then you take it back. It's like their little leasing thing. You can lease out equipment, and you can get this little caliper compressor. So I'm gonna push this in quick. I'll show you how it's done. And then once you've got that compressed all the way in, you can take it and you can slip it over your brake pads. So as you can see, the kit comes with a bunch of different little add-ons. I picked this one just because it fits. So you want to pick the one that fits your little grooves. And then it's really simple. It just slips over the top of here. And it's magnetic. Then basically all you have to do is put this flat plate on here on the inside and then start screwing it out, and it'll screw in this inside part of the caliper. Alright, so I finally got it compressed in there, about flush. Let me tell you, that sucked. But maybe you'll have better luck. Alright, so I'm gonna cut this off now. Gonna put it back on here and then going to throw the bolts in there. So I'm tempted to leave this cover off now that I got my brakes on, but it protects the actual cable for the parking brake back there, and replacing the parking brake really sucks, so I'm going to do my best to preserve that parking brake cable. I'm going to throw this shield back on there. There you go, your rotors and brake pads are replaced. Now if you need to do the other side, go ahead and repeat the same process. And just toss your wheel back on there, make sure to tighten down your lug nuts, and you're good to go. If need be, I would maybe pump the brakes a couple of times before you drive off, just to get that caliper. Remember, we screwed it all the way in, the piston, so it'll kind of get that caliper back out and touching the brake pad where it needs to be, so your brakes won't be squishy. So just pump the brakes a couple of times and you should be good to go. Alright, if you guys liked that video or found it at all helpful, informative, etc., feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for some more. There's definitely a lot more stuff coming on this channel. So thanks for watching, guys.